Somewhere between late evening and almost midnight, there's a small table that always smells faintly of paper, paint, and tea. That's where you and I are now. I'm glad you're here, truly. While you watch, my hands will be busy with glue and brushes, and 4 little winter witches who've been waiting a long time to step out of imagination and into the world. They're not the loud kind of witches. No thunder, no explosions, just warm coats, red noses, and small pockets full of useful things, like crumbs of starlight and half-remembered recipes. Tonight, one by one, we'll make them. The first witch, the one with the frog. If you opened the door to the forest at the back of winter, you'd find a crooked cottage with one window always fogged from the inside. That's where the first witch lives. Her name is Bristle, though only the frog knows that for sure. Bristle is small and sturdy, just like the figure growing slowly under my hands now. A bit of wire, torn paper, and paste begin as a vague lump on the table, and layer by layer remember that they want to be a witch. Her hat comes first. It's big and pointed and slightly bent at the tip, like it once poked the sky and came back with a secret. I smooth the paper over its shape, and Bristle squints at me from the future, as if checking that I get the angle right. She needs a coat, of course. All real winter witches own at least one very good coat. So the body thickens, round and friendly, with little boots at the bottom, firmly planted. I carve out the suggestion of buttons, a scarf wrapped tightly around her neck, as if she has just stepped in from the snow and hasn't quite warmed up yet. Beside her, another little shape is forming, a cauldron. It's not a frightening one, no bubbling green disaster. Bristle's cauldron smells of onion soup, herbal tea, and the very first snowfall that melts on your tongue. And then there is Frog. He begins as a tiny ball of paper pressed gently between my fingers. I give him a wide mouth, round eyes, and the sort of expression frogs wear when they pretend they never do anything suspicious. Bristle holds him close, because this is the frog who keeps her company on the longest winter nights. He reminds her when to add a pinch of thyme, when the tea is about to boil over, and when she's spending too much time worrying about other people's storms. While the glue dries, I imagine her kitchen. Shelves full of cracked cups, a kettle that sighs like an old cat, snow piled up at the door, listening. Bristle is the witch you visit when you're not sure what you need. You sit by the cauldron, she hands you a steaming mug, and Frog gives you a slow, serious blink. Between the 3 of them, the thing you were afraid to say out loud usually tumbles out like a forgotten spoon. She doesn't fix everything. She just stirs and listens until your winter feels a little less heavy. On the table, the first witch hardens into shape. Soon I'll paint her coat in muted greens and blues, dust her cheeks with a little winter pink, give Frog his bright, thoughtful eyes. But for now, she rests, because every good spell begins in silence. Sometimes, when the snow outside her cottage stacks itself in gentle drifts, and the wind forgets to rattle the windows, Bristle takes Frog to the door and just listens. Not to the forest, it's already loud enough with its own stories, but to the thin, faraway sounds that slip between branches. A sigh over a kitchen sink, the rustle of a blanket pulled too tightly, the small, tired clink of a spoon in an empty mug. She can't hear the words, only the weight of them. Frog gives a soft croak whenever one of those sounds needs a little extra warmth, and Bristle makes a quiet mark in the air, as if adding another log to an invisible fire. There are nights when a lost traveler really does find her door. Red cheeks, numb fingers, eyes that don't quite know whether to cry or laugh from relief. Bristle never asks many questions. She just opens the door wider, nudges a stool closer to the cauldron, and ladles out something hot that tastes a bit like soup and a bit like hope. Frog settles on their knee like a small, heavy reassurance. In the morning, the traveler always leaves with the same feeling, that nothing grand has happened, and yet somehow breathing is easier. Bristle just watches them go, tucks one more story into the folds of her coat, and goes back to stirring, keeping the pot warm for the next winter heart that might wander her way. On the shelf above her bed, Bristle keeps a row of tiny glass jars, each holding something that can't really be bottled. The echo of a relieved laugh, the warmth of a hand finally unclenched, the first deep sleep after too many restless nights. Of course, if you opened them, you'd only see a pinch of steam or a curl of mist. But Bristle remembers which is which. On particularly gray evenings, when Frog is drowsy and even the cauldron's bubbles seem tired, she uncorks one jar, lets a little comfort escape into the room, and smiles as it settles in the corners like soft light. "For later," she whispers, adding a new empty jar to the row. "Someone else will need this back." Sometimes I imagine where Bristle will live when she leaves my desk. Maybe she'll hang from a branch of a Christmas tree, right between a glass bird and a childhood ornament with chipped paint. Maybe she'll stand on a bookshelf next to dog-eared paperbacks and a cup that always smells faintly of tea. Wherever she ends up, I like to think that Frog will learn the corners of that new room by heart, and Bristle will quietly adjust her scarf, look around, and decide where the coziest pocket of air is, the place where worries tend to gather when no one is looking. That's where she'll stand guard, pretending to be just a decoration. And if you were to ask her one quiet evening whether she considers herself a real witch, Bristle would probably laugh into her scarf and shrug. Real witches, in the stories, throw lightning and move mountains. She mostly keeps kettles from boiling over and hearts from freezing solid. But Frog knows the truth, and so do the candles that never quite go out in her windows. Somewhere between the first stir of her spoon and the last sleepy bubble of the cauldron, worries grow softer around the edges. That is Bristle's kind of magic. Small, steady, and almost invisible. The sort that leaves you certain, hours later and far from her door, that winter is still winter, but you are no longer facing it alone. The second witch, the one with the star. While Bristle dries in the corner, another small figure starts to appear from scraps and threads of thought. This is Leora. Leora is a street lamp witch, a city witch, a rooftop watcher of sleeping windows. She doesn't own a cauldron. What she carries instead is a star. Not a stolen one, just borrowed. Her body is lighter, ready to hang and sway, so I build her carefully, a little at a time. A rounded coat, sturdy boots, arms open as if she's forever mid-step into the night. In one mittened hand, I shape a small star. It's not perfectly symmetrical. Stars rarely are when you glimpse them through frost. I press tiny points into place and imagine the quiet humming it must make when the world is very still. Leora's job is simple and not simple at all. She checks the lights. Not the electric ones, the other kind, the ones behind ribs and inside chests. On evenings that feel especially gray, she walks above the streets, between chimneys and antennae. The star in her hand glows just enough to see who has forgotten their own. Tonight, the star is the same color as the paint waiting on my palette, soft gold with a hint of something older. While I brush on layers of blue and orange, Leora looks like she's stepping out of shadow into lamplight. Her scarf is speckled with tiny dots, as if she's collected sparks from every window she's ever walked past. She pauses wherever the glowing seems thin, at a window where a student stares at a blank page, at a balcony where a plant leans toward a sun that hasn't been seen in days, at a kitchen table where someone eats in silence, phone face down, back turned to their own worry. Leora gently taps the glass with her star. No one hears it, not with ears, but sometimes a person suddenly remembers a song, or reaches for a pen, or texts a friend without knowing why. From the outside, she'll just be a small ornament with a gold star turning slowly in the light. But I like to think that whoever hangs her is secretly inviting this kind of quiet check-in, a reminder that even on long nights, someone, somewhere, is counting your small lights and finding them enough. Maybe she'll live near a window. That feels right for Leora. Somewhere above a desk or by a plant that leans toward the light. In the morning, she'll catch the first pale stripe of sun, and at night, she'll float in the glow of a lamp while someone scrolls, reads, or just stares at the ceiling, feeling a little too tired for hope and a little too awake for sleep. That's when her star works best, not blazing, just quietly insisting that tomorrow is still possible. When I paint her, I always slow down around the eyes. They're not wide and surprised, they're soft, like she's seen a lot of almost started things and refuses to be disappointed by any of them. Her coat gets tiny dots and stitches of color, as if she's been walking through meteor showers and they've decided to stay with her. The star in her mitten gets the thinnest lines of gold I can manage, not smooth, but a little worn, the way real, lived-in hope actually looks. In my mind, Leora is the witch of not too late, of people changing careers at 40, picking up an instrument again, messaging someone after years of silence, planting bulbs in soil that might still freeze twice before spring. If Bristle listens to heavy winters, Leora listens to ticking clocks, and then leans in and whispers very calmly that time is not a door slamming shut, but a window that can be opened a crack, even in December. Sometimes I picture what Leora sees from her place on the wall or tree, Not the grand cinematic moments, just the tiny ones. A hand hovering over a switch, deciding whether to leave a lamp on a little longer. A face lit by a screen that suddenly goes dark because its owner finally sighs and puts it down. Someone pausing in the doorway on their way out, glancing back at the room, feeling a tug of something they can't quite name. Those are the seconds she likes best. The almost turns, the almost changes. Her star seems to glow a fraction warmer whenever someone chooses, even clumsily, to stay kind to themselves for one more day. If she's lucky, she'll be there on the evening when a decision quietly shifts, when a maybe someday becomes, all right, I'll try, not because the fear vanished, but because the person carrying it got tired of waiting for perfect courage. From her hook or branch, Leora won't clap or sparkle or make a fuss. She'll just keep gently circling in the air, star in hand, doing what she has always done best, keeping a little watch over the soft, stubborn lights that people carry inside, especially on the nights when they forget they're shining at all. The third witch, the one on the broom. The table is getting crowded now. Bristle with her frog, Leora and her star. Between them, there's just enough space for someone who does not like to stay still. This one arrives with a whoosh. I twist the wire into a long, playful line, the promise of a broom. Then comes the witch herself, leaning forward, coat flapping, one foot kicked up as if she's laughing at gravity. Her name is Mira, though she'll answer to anything shouted joyfully from the ground. Mira is a wind pocket witch, born of gusts that slip between houses and make scarves dance. Her hair, I build it from thin pulled strands, will fly out behind her like a comet's tail once the paint dries. Her magic isn't in potions or stars, it's in momentum. Mira visits people who've been stuck on the same thought for far too long. The half-finished painting, the fear of starting again, the maybe someday that has grown moss around its edges. She doesn't knock, she swoops past their window, maybe only once, maybe 3 times for the stubborn ones, and the air in the room suddenly tastes different, like the first day of vacation or the first snow on your tongue. On the table, I curve her arms as if she's steering invisible currents. A small trail of invisible laughter seems to follow her wherever she goes. I can't sculpt that, but you might feel it when you look at her. Her coat gets splashes of teal and deep violet, colors that belong to late evening just before the sky really commits to being night. Her boots are worn at the toes, of course. Broom travel is hard on footwear. When she's finished, she'll hang in mid-air from a thin thread, always moving a little, even when the room is still. I like that. Not every magic is calm. Some is the brave, ridiculous kind that pushes you a few centimeters forward when you've been standing in the same spot for months. Maybe someone will hang Mira above a desk or near a doorway they're afraid to walk through. Maybe her constant little swing will be enough of a nudge. Come on, she seems to say. Let's go. We don't have to know where yet. I like to think Mira prefers slightly messy rooms, the kind with half-read books, abandoned sketches, and lists that say things like, "Start tomorrow," in 3 different colors. She'll hang there happily, swaying above the clutter, absolutely unconcerned by the unfinishedness of everything. In fact, that's her favorite material. Unfinished things are like little air currents to her. Every postponed idea, every "I'll do it later" is a breeze she can catch with her broom and turn into just enough momentum to make you pick the pencil up again. If you sit under her long enough, you might notice very small rebellions starting to happen. Not the dramatic, new life in one day kind, the gentler sort. Sending one email you've been scared to write, washing just the mug instead of the whole mountain of dishes, and somehow feeling lighter anyway. Opening the document you've avoided for weeks and adding 2 awkward sentences instead of a masterpiece. Mira adores awkward sentences. Awkward means you've moved. Awkward means the spell is working. And when the day has been heavy and the only journey you can manage is from bed to sofa and back again, she doesn't judge. She just tilts a little closer, hair flying as if there were a great adventure happening, even in this small loop. In her world, I tried a tiny bit is already worthy of fireworks. So she'll swing above your head like a private cheerleading comet, quietly rewriting the definition of progress. Until one evening, you realize with surprise that you're no longer stuck in exactly the same place. You're a few centimeters further down the road, and Mira, of course, is already leaning into the next gust of courage. Sometimes I wonder where Mira goes when no one's looking at her. I suspect she slips out of the room entirely for a while, zooming along stairwells and through keyholes, tugging at the curtains of neighbors who've run out of steam. Maybe that's why, on some evenings, you suddenly clean one corner of the room for no reason, or finally take the trash out at 21:47 with heroic determination. It feels like your own idea, and it is, but there's also a tiny witch on a broom somewhere, grinning into the wind. If she's ever lucky enough to hang in a studio, I think she'll be in her element. Paint-splattered floors, failed sketches taped to the wall, projects in 12 different stages of almost. That's a whole sky for her. When someone mutters, "This is pointless, I should just stop," Mira's answer is always the same. She leans in, hair wild, coat fluttering, and swings just a little harder, as if to say, "Fine, then stop perfectly. But first, one more brushstroke, one more try, one more tiny, ridiculous beginning." The fourth witch, the one with the book and the cat. The night grows quieter as the last witch arrives. The table is speckled with paint. The water jar carries the memory of every color we've used. My hands are a little tired, the good kind of tired that feels like finishing a chapter. This witch is slower. She begins as a seated form, legs tucked under a warm coat, hat tilted gently forward as if listening to the pages in her lap. On her knees, I press a small rectangle of paper and glue, the book. Curled beside her, tail wrapped neatly, I form a cat. A proper witch's cat, of course, though he's not at all terrifying. He has the soft, watchful look of someone who has heard many more stories than he'll ever repeat. Her name is Elowin. Elowin is a keeper of small spells, not the dramatic ones that turn pumpkins into carriages and princes into frogs. She collects the tiny, useful sorts. A spell for falling asleep when thoughts are too loud, a spell for remembering where you put your keys, a spell for finding the right word when your heart is full and your mouth is shy. As I shape her face, I give her a quiet, focused expression, the kind you see on someone turning the page of a book they've waited a long time to read. Her coat will be layered in deep greens and muted reds, like forest paths in late autumn. The cat gets a touch of mossy color in his fur, eyes painted in gold brown that touch just enough light. Elowyn doesn't fly much. She prefers corners, windowsills, the arm of a favorite chair, the little space on a shelf between two much-loved novels. At night, when a lamp throws a soft circle of light, she opens her spellbook and the cat curls closer. The words on the page don't look impressive. Mostly they are notes, scribbles, ordinary phrases like "remember to breathe" and "call her back" and "go outside for 5 minutes." But when spoken slowly, with a bit of faith and a mug of something warm nearby, they end up working more often than not. Elowyn is very fond of pauses, not the awkward kind in conversations, but the soft ones in between, the 10 seconds before you answer a difficult question, the little silence after someone says, "I'm fine," and you both know they're not. Those are the moments she listens for. Her cat hears them too. His ears twitch whenever a pause is really a quiet "help." On her page, Elowyn notes these things down in tiny handwriting, not to analyze them, but to remember that even the unsaid parts of a day deserve a place in the spellbook. By daylight, if you catch her in the right mood, she's a great believer in ordinary rituals. She has a whole page of spells that begin with "first make the bed," and another one that starts "begin by opening the window." She knows that magic hides in boring actions, folding a blanket, washing a cup, feeding the cat before you open your email. So when I paint her, I give her that steady, grounded look, like someone who will absolutely listen to your biggest fear and then gently suggest you drink some water and put your socks on. Not because that solves everything, but because it gives your heart a floor to stand on. Her cat, of course, has a few spells of his own. They mostly involve strategic purring at exactly the right moments, and placing one paw firmly on whatever object is currently stealing too much of your attention. Elowyn pretends she's the one in charge, but the book knows better. Many charms in the margins are written in a different ink, with small paw print smudges at the edges. "Take a nap before you decide," says one. "No big choices after midnight," says another. These are cat laws, and Elowyn has learned to respect them. When she finally leaves my table and finds her place in someone's home, I imagine she'll settle into the quietest corner, the spot where people sit when they don't know what to do next. From there, with her patient cat and her unassuming book, she'll keep watch over all the tiny turning points. The moment someone closes a tab instead of doom scrolling, the moment a message is written kindly instead of sharply, the moment a tired person chooses rest over one more task. None of it will look like grand magic, but years later when they wonder how their life slowly became gentler, Elowyn will just smile from her shelf, as if to say, "It was all there in the small spells. You were the one who cast them." Maybe that's why her magic travels so quietly. It doesn't arrive as a sudden revelation, but as a small, almost silly impulse to put your scarf where you'll actually find it tomorrow, to write one honest line in a journal instead of planning a whole new life, to say, "I'm tired, I'm going to bed for once." Somewhere, Elowyn's cat flicks his tail in satisfaction, another tiny spell successfully cast. On her page, between recipes for courage and instructions for deep breathing, Elowyn simply adds one more note. It worked again, in a very small way. In the end, that's all she's ever wanted, not to be the center of anyone's story, but to sit nearby while they remember that they are allowed to be soft and still be strong. She and the cat are perfectly happy being misread as just decoration because they know better. Every time someone sits down in their favorite corner and feels, for reasons they can't explain, a little safer, a little kinder to themselves, a new spell gets its first quiet tick mark in Elowin's book. On the table, the last layers of paint go on. Tiny lines for text on the book, a faint blush on nose and cheeks, the suggestion of whiskers. Now all 4 witches stand together. Bristle with her frog and shy cauldron, Leora with her star and patient steps, Mira with her broom and flying laughter, Elowin with her spellbook and thoughtful cat. They're different sizes, different moods, like 4 notes in a small winter chord. Together, they look a little like a tiny coven and a little like a very odd family photo. Bristle seems ready to offer everyone soup, whether they want it or not. Leora is already halfway turned towards some distant window only she can see. Mira is clearly about to convince them all to go somewhere slightly dangerous but necessary, and Elowin appears resigned to the fact that she will be the one making notes afterwards. If you listen closely, you can almost hear their different kinds of magic humming against each other. Warmth, light, motion, stillness, finding an easy rhythm, the way 4 very different friends slowly learn to walk at the same pace. I like to imagine the nights when they'll end up in the same room again, even far from this table, maybe on a crowded tree branch, or along a shelf in someone's studio, or in a box where they sleep side by side between winters. On those nights, Bristle will quietly gather all the leftover worries everyone brought home. Leora will count the tiny, stubborn lights that made it through the day. Mira will be planning 3 new beginnings before morning, and Elowin will be there at the edge of it all, cat purring, ready to turn the whole tangle into one more spell for keep going but gently. And if one evening you notice that the room feels a little softer, that your thoughts are less sharp, your shoulders not quite so high, and your to-do list mysteriously less important than your cup of tea, it might not be nothing, just tiredness, just weather. Or it might be that 4 small witches in winter coats have quietly compared notes, adjusted their scarves and hats, and decided, in their own particular ways, to spend the night keeping watch over you. And under all that quiet watchfulness, there is, of course, a 5th expert on duty, Elowin's cat. While the witches are busy with worries, stars, gusts of courage, and small spells, he is in charge of one very specific kind of magic, the sort that makes humans stop behaving like overworked furniture. In his private system, people are large, warm, slightly confused cushions who forget they're allowed to lie down. So his favorite incantations are very simple. Place paw on the important papers, sit exactly in the middle of the keyboard, curl up on the chest of the one who is fine but breathing too fast. The moment they sigh, set the work aside, and stroke his fur is, in his opinion, the moment the spell succeeds. When the house finally grows still and all 4 witches settle into their positions, Bristle by the heavy thoughts, Leora by the thin lights, Mira by the half-open doors, Elowin by the favorite chair, the cat makes one last round. He pads through the quiet rooms of the world in his own unseen way, checking that at least one mug is within reach of tired hands, that one blanket is not trapped at the foot of the bed, that one small, kind decision has been made in favor of rest. Many of the gentlest enchantments begin like this, with a paw in the wrong place at exactly the right time, nudging you toward sleep, or tea, or a breath you didn't know you needed, until morning comes and you can keep watch over yourself again. While you watch them turning slowly in the light, or standing in a row, still a little shiny from fresh varnish, I keep thinking about how handmade things carry time inside them. Each witch is made from torn scraps of paper and glue, yes, but also from the song that happened to play on repeat that day, the tea I forgot to drink while I concentrated on the tiny buttons, the way the sky outside the window turned blue a little earlier than last week, and you, sitting somewhere out there, letting these small stories keep you company. Maybe one of the witches feels familiar. Perhaps you know a bristle, someone who always knows when to put the kettle on, or a Leora, who walks you through dark seasons and points out any light you missed. Maybe there's a Mira inside you, waiting to grab the broom and say, "Enough, let's move." Or maybe, like Elowin, you've secretly been building your own book of gentle everyday spells. Wherever these four end up, on a tree, on a wall, a studio, or wrapped carefully in tissue paper between seasons, I hope they bring a little of this quiet evening with them. The slow layers, the soft colors, the feeling that magic doesn't always need fireworks. Sometimes it just needs paper, paint, and someone willing to believe in small, kind things. Thank you for staying with me, and with these witches all the way to the end. In a world that pulls in so many directions, it means a lot that you chose to spend this small piece of time here, watching something be made slowly by hand. If one of these little witches made you smile or reminded you of your own quiet magic, I'd be very grateful if you left a tiny like, a comment, or even subscribed. It helps me keep telling these soft, slow stories. But mostly, thank you for being here. May your evenings be warm, your tea never quite go cold, and may you always have just enough room on your shelf for one more small witch in a winter coat.